If your cat has ever looked at you from across the room and slowly closed their eyes, you probably thought it was cute, didn't you? Maybe you smiled. Maybe you wondered if they were getting sleepy. Or maybe you've heard somewhere that it means they love you, so you thought, "That's nice," and went back to what you were doing. And honestly, recognizing the slow blink at all puts you ahead of most cat owners. But here's what almost nobody tells you, and what recent scientific research has only just confirmed. That slow blink isn't just a sweet gesture or a simple, "I love you." It's one of the most sophisticated pieces of interspecies communication that exists between humans and any animal. And what your cat is actually saying, the depth of trust and vulnerability they're expressing, and what happens when you respond correctly versus when you miss the moment entirely, all of that is far more complex and consequential than anyone realizes. Because here's the truth that changes everything. Your cat just made a choice. A deliberate, conscious choice to make themselves temporarily defenseless in your presence. And they're watching to see how you respond. Not just whether you respond, but how you respond, because the quality of your response tells them whether their trust was correctly placed or whether they need to recalibrate their assessment of you. Most cat owners see the slow blink, maybe acknowledge it vaguely, and have no idea they just received one of the highest compliments a predator species can give, or that their response in the next 3 seconds will either deepen the bond or teach their cat that this form of communication doesn't work. Let me show you what's really happening in that moment, what the science actually says about this behavior, and why understanding this single gesture can transform your relationship with your cat in ways you never imagined possible. Let's start with the biology, because once you understand what your cat is doing physically, you'll never be able to see the slow blink as casual again. When your cat looks at you and slowly closes their eyes, they are temporarily eliminating their primary threat detection system. Cats are both predators and prey animals. Their eyes are their early warning system for danger, their targeting system for hunting, their primary way of gathering survival-critical information about their environment. Closing those eyes, even for 1 second, is a calculated risk. Research published in 2020 in the journal Scientific Reports took a systematic approach to studying this behavior, and what they found was remarkable. The study, conducted by psychologists at the University of Sussex, found that slow blinking is a genuine, measurable form of positive communication between cats and humans. But here's the part that most summaries of the research miss. The study didn't just confirm that cats slow blink at people they like. It confirmed that cats actively alter their behavior in response to receiving slow blinks from humans, and that this creates a positive feedback loop that strengthens the social bond. In the experiments, when humans slow blinked at cats they'd never met before, those cats were significantly more likely to approach the human afterward compared to cats who'd received neutral expressions. Think about what that means. A cat encountering a complete stranger responded to a slow blink by assessing that stranger as safe and approachable. This isn't learned behavior specific to their owner. This is a communication system cats understand universally. But here's the deeper biological truth. That eye closure is costing your cat something. During the half-second to full second that their eyes are closed, they cannot detect movement, cannot assess threats, cannot prepare defensive responses. For a prey animal, this is profound vulnerability. And when they do this while looking at you, they're saying something very specific. I have assessed you thoroughly, and I predict with high confidence that you will not attack me while I'm defenseless. That's not, I love you, in the sentimental sense. That's, I trust you with my life, in the most literal, biological sense. Now let's talk about what most cat owners get wrong about responding, because this is where the communication either succeeds or fails. You see your cat slow blink at you. You think, ah, cute, and you either don't respond at all, or you stare at them adoringly with wide eyes, or you immediately rush over to pet them. And in every one of those responses, you just failed the test your cat was giving you. Here's what the research shows about correct responses. The same University of Sussex study tested human responses to cats' slow blinks, and found that slow blinking back was significantly more effective at building rapport than any other response. but the execution matters desperately. When you slow blink back correctly, you're completing a communication circuit. Your cat said, "I trust you enough to be vulnerable." You respond, "I receive your trust and reciprocate it by being vulnerable in return." Both parties have now demonstrated that they're willing to briefly surrender their primary defenses in each other's presence. That's mutual trust made visible, and it creates a neurological reward response in both your brain and your cat's brain. But here's what happens when you get it wrong. If you stare with wide eyes after your cat slow blinks, you're giving a threat signal. In cat body language, an unblinking stare is confrontational. You've essentially responded to their vulnerable trust signal with, "I'm watching you very carefully and won't look away." Your cat registers this as a mismatch. They showed trust, you showed vigilance. The cognitive dissonance creates stress, and your cat learns that slow blinking at you doesn't produce the expected reciprocal trust signal. If you don't respond at all, you've ignored their communication attempt. Imagine extending your hand for a handshake and the other person just stares at your hand without taking it. That's the social awkwardness your cat experiences. They made a bid for connection, and it went unacknowledged. Do this enough times, and your cat stops making the bid because they've learned it doesn't work with you. And if you immediately rush over to pet them, you've violated the boundary the slow blink was actually establishing. The slow blink is a distance-appropriate affection signal. Your cat chose to express trust from across the room, not up close. By immediately closing that distance, you've communicated that you don't respect their spatial boundaries, and you've turned a peaceful moment into an unpredictable approach that puts them on alert. If you're realizing you've been seeing slow blinks for years and responding completely wrong, that's exactly why Whisker Wisdom exists. Subscribe so you learn to speak cat fluently, not just recognize a few words. And stay with me, because what I'm about to show you is how to respond correctly, and why the timing and quality of your slow blink back determines whether this becomes a relationship-building ritual or a missed opportunity. So here's exactly how to respond to a slow blink, step by step, because the details matter more than you'd think. Your cat slow blinks at you from across the room. Here's what you do. Step 1. Acknowledge with soft eye contact. Look at your cat, but soften your gaze. Don't stare hard. Let your facial muscles relax, which naturally softens the eyes. You're saying, "I see you, and I'm not in threat mode." Step 2. Slow close your eyes, both of them, over 2 to 3 seconds. Not a wink. Not a quick blink. A slow, deliberate closure that takes genuine effort to do slowly. This is conscious vulnerability matching theirs. Step 3. Hold the closure for half a second to a full second. Long enough that it's clearly intentional, not just a regular blink. Step 4. Slowly open your eyes again, same pace as the close. The reopening is part of the communication, not just an afterthought. Step 5, and this is critical. After opening, soften your gaze and either look away slightly or return to what you were doing. Don't maintain the eye contact with intensity. Don't immediately approach. You're closing the communication loop without creating new expectations or pressures. That's it. That's the complete, correct slow blink sequence. And when you do it right, here's what often happens that gives you immediate feedback. Your cat's pupils may dilate slightly, a sign of emotional response. They may slow blink again, creating a conversation, or they may look briefly pleased before going back to what they were doing. All of these are success signals. Research on the timing and quality of slow blinks found that the duration of eye closure matters. Blinks that were too quick weren't interpreted as the same signal. The researchers theorized that the slowness itself is what signals intentionality. It's so much slower than a functional blink that it can only be communicative, not reflexive. Now let's talk about context. Because the meaning of the slow blink actually changes based on when and where it happens, and this is the level of fluency almost no cat owner reaches. A slow blink in one situation might mean pure affection. In another situation, it might mean, "I'm trying to de-escalate tension." And in yet another, it might mean, "I'm comfortable enough to ignore you now." The across-the-room slow blink we've been discussing is pure affiliative communication. No other agenda, no resource seeking, just, I saw you and wanted to express that I feel good about your presence. This is the deepest form of the slow blink. The slow blink during petting or physical contact has a slightly different meaning. It's saying, this physical interaction is pleasant, I'm relaxed, you can continue. It's permission and pleasure combined. If you're petting your cat and they slow blink, you're doing something they like. Keep doing exactly that. The slow blink after a stressful event, loud noise, stranger leaving, vet visit aftermath, is actually a stress relief signal. Your cat is using the slow blink to communicate. I'm trying to calm down, and your presence helps me feel safer. This is your cat actively using you as a secure base for emotional regulation. Slow blinking back in this context is especially powerful because you're confirming, yes, you're safe now. The slow blink when your cat is in an elevated position looking down at you carries a slight territorial element. They're comfortable enough in their territory and secure enough in their position that they can afford to be vulnerable. It's trust, but it's trust from a position of confidence. This is healthy cat confidence, and slow blinking back acknowledges their security. The slow blink combined with showing you their belly is the absolute pinnacle of trust. You're getting both the visual vulnerability of eye closure and the physical vulnerability of belly exposure simultaneously. This is your cat's version of complete emotional nakedness. The only appropriate response is a slow blink back and then respecting their space. Don't touch the belly unless you know your specific cat welcomes it. Understanding context turns slow blinking from a single gesture into a vocabulary of related but nuanced communications. You're not just learning one word. You're learning how that word changes meaning based on the sentence it appears in. But here's the question that reveals the deepest layer of what slow blinking actually means. Why does this gesture exist at all? What evolutionary or social purpose does it serve? And the answer is both beautiful and profound. Researchers studying feline social behavior believe the slow blink may have evolved from eye narrowing during relaxation. When cats are truly relaxed in content, their eyes naturally narrow slightly. It's a physiological response to parasympathetic nervous system activation, the rest and digest mode. Over evolutionary time, this natural relaxation response may have been co-opted as an intentional signal. But here's where it gets interesting for domestic cats specifically. Adult cats in the wild rarely vocalize to each other. Meowing is something domestic cats developed primarily for communicating with humans. The slow blink, however, seems to be something cats do both with each other and with humans. It exists in cat-to-cat communication in bonded pairs and colonies. What this suggests is that when your cat slow blinks at you, they're not using a special human communication signal. They're using their natural cat-to-cat trust signal with you, which means they've categorized you not as a human, but as a social partner who speaks cat. You've been integrated into their social cognition as cat-like enough to communicate with using their own language. That's profound. Your cat isn't learning to speak human. They're teaching you to speak cat, and when you slow blink back correctly, you're proving you can learn their language. The relationship stops being human to pet and becomes something closer to cross-species friendship based on mutual comprehension. Now let's address the cats who don't slow blink, because this worries some owners. My cat never slow blinks at me. Does that mean they don't trust me? Not necessarily. Here's what the research and behavioral observation tells us. Some cats are simply less communicative through eye contact generally. They might be expressing trust and affection through other means, headbutting, kneading, proximity seeking, grooming you, but eye-based signals aren't their primary communication mode. Just like humans have different communication styles, cats have individual preferences for how they express themselves. Other cats may not have been socialized to eye contact during their critical period, roughly 2 to 7 weeks of age. If they didn't have positive human interaction involving eye contact during this window, they might be less likely to develop eye-based communication habits. And some cats are still in the process of building trust. If your cat is newly adopted, has a traumatic background, or is generally anxious, they might not feel secure enough yet to engage in vulnerability-based communication. The slow blink requires a baseline of trust to even attempt. Your cat might get there, but they're not ready yet. The solution in all these cases isn't to force it. It's to initiate slow blinks yourself and see if your cat responds over time. The University of Sussex research showed that humans slow blinking at cats can actually teach cats to slow blink back. You're modeling the communication and inviting them to participate when they're ready. Some cats start slow blinking back within days of you initiating regularly. Others take weeks or months. And a small percentage may never adopt it as their primary affection signal, and that's okay. The relationship can be deep and secure without this one specific behavior. Here's what happens when you get this right consistently over weeks and months. You and your cat develop what researchers call a shared communication ritual. The slow blink becomes a touchstone in your relationship, a quick way to check in, to say, "We're good," to re-establish connection after time apart. Some owners report that once they started slow blinking consistently, their cat began initiating more. The cat learns, "Oh, this communication works with this human. They understand it. I'll use it more." The frequency increases because the feedback loop is working. Others find that the slow blink becomes part of their daily routine. Morning slow blinks across the kitchen. Evening slow blinks from the couch. Goodbye slow blinks when leaving for work. Each one is a micro moment of connection that reinforces the bond. And here's the part that owners find most moving: in stressful situations, vet visits, moving houses, introducing new people, the slow blink becomes a stress anchor. You can slow blink at your cat during a scary event, and because it's an established trust signal between you, it helps them regulate their fear response. You're using your shared language to say, "I know this is scary, but I'm here, and you're safe with me." That's not just cute cat behavior. That's functional emotional support made possible by learning to speak each other's language. At Whisker Wisdom, we believe the deepest bonds are built on mutual understanding, not assumption. If this changed how you see that simple eye closure, share it with someone whose cat has been slow blinking at them for years without getting the response they deserve. Your cat doesn't have words. They can't tell you, "I trust you," or "I feel safe with you," or "Your presence makes me happy." But they can close their eyes slowly while looking at you, surrendering their primary defense for one vulnerable second, and hope you understand what they're saying. Most of the time you don't. You see it and think it's sweet, but you don't really hear it. You don't respond in the language they're speaking. And your cat learns that this particular form of reaching out doesn't quite land with you, so maybe they try less often. But now you know different. Now you know that the slow blink is a question being asked. Do you speak my language? Can you meet me in this moment of mutual vulnerability? Are you the safe being I think you are? And your slow blink back is the answer. Yes. I understand. I see your trust and I honor it. You're safe with me too. That's not training. That's not tricks. That's conversation. Real, meaningful, interspecies conversation happening without a single word spoken. Your cat has been trying to talk to you. In their language, on their terms, in the way that evolution gave them to express trust and affection. And every time they've closed their eyes slowly while looking at you, they've been hoping you'd understand what they were really saying. Now you do. And the next time it happens, you'll be ready. Two beings, two species, separated by millions of years of evolution. Connected by the simple, profound act of closing your eyes and trusting the other to still be there, still be safe, still be friend, when you open them again. That's what your cat is saying when they slow blink at you. And when you blink back, you're saying it too,